I'm channeling the drawings of Julian from Freiburg. Sort of was drawing these very amorphic things with cross-hatching. Hatching, not so much cross-hatching. And he showed no fear as he was drawing. And I'm not showing any fear either, but I'm also not coming up with anything interesting. These were more interesting and more just filling space, wasting time. My 3/4 roommate is making dinner. This is sort of turning out to be a sort of a Sphinx character. Ear, here's a cat mouth, and here's his claws. Here's his tail. Whiskers. Oops. I'm in the wrong spot. Anyway, it's sort of fun. See where these things go. See where these end up. Oops. Some red mouth business going in here. There we go. A bit of red. Red tips on his claws as if he caught something and consumed it. How about that for drama? A lot of blood here. This one. Why isn't this thing working? It's chewing the guts of the mouse or whatever he caught is being splattered out of his gaping pie hole here. Blood everywhere. Biting down on the juicy bits. Like a ripe peach, it explodes. There, perfect. Bad kitty. Where did that pencil go? What's this one? It's fine. I need to get water. Be right back. God. Hey, Schiavello. Just talking about you. Only good things. Oops. Only good things, Schiavello. You missed your friend Russell doing his Klingon Italian for you. I'm drawing a bad kitty. Accountant, would you like to come online? Kitty, would you like to come online? Schiavello. You're just shaking your head. Bad kitty. Just shaking your head. You can hardly talk with zero voice. Well, you could just nod and I could say something and it would cause your brain to short circuit and you'd hold your head and it would give me pleasure. No, I don't get pleasure out of you. In pain. So we had a nice German man in here earlier today, and it was fun watching him draw. He's very aggressive, sort of abstract, non-representational scribbles going about. He's from Freiberg. And your boyfriend and he and I and Russell were having fun talking in Schweindeutsch, sort of. Fextonol came in, but he didn't stay long. I mean, he didn't come online. He just chimed in from time to time. It was mainly sort of Russell and this German talking about art history with me sort of doodling, and I was doing my best to play your role of reading what the other people in the room were saying. He had his Klingonian voice going on. Yeah, he was doing a good job of that, I think. I'm going to put this away. I'm just going to retire this pen because it does not need to be out here. Okay, where is that going to go? Down there. What else can I bring back to my little house? Bring this one back. Maybe I'll sell that one too. Making another pile for Mitch here. Don't know if he wants any of them, but I'm finding things that I think he might like. This I do not need. Yeah, well, Klingon with a sore throat. Maybe that's what you sound like. That one there. Any news with Ben? Any more trauma? Any more dreams? I'm live again. I'm waiting for, I was going to have pizza, but turns out that Matt has decided to make a steak. So he's making a steak right now. And I'm live again. Would you like to come into the room, ma'am? Ms. Marilyn? How did you finish? Oops! Did you finish your laundry? Your delicate underthings? Or your delicate underthings? You're getting ready to eat. Now, when you eat, do you eat communally in your building? Do you eat together? Let me get my thing here so I can get you in. Okay. But it sounds like you said you're getting ready to go eat dinner. So you go downstairs and you make your own dinner by yourself and sit in one of the many dining rooms. Oh, there you are. Sorry, I didn't see you join. There you are. Look at that. That spring frock you're wearing.
It's
Mickey Mouse.
Halloween flavored.
Mickey Mouse and bats, it looks like.
Yep, it's my Halloween outfit.
Oh,
Actually,
good.
I wear my my scrubs while I'm working,
Uh-huh.
so that way I have like pockets in the front. You know how they have like the pockets in the front,
Uh-huh.
so that way I can like put stuff in it and I don't lose it because it's kind of hard to sit down without things in there.
Yeah.
So, yep. Oops, that's not what I was trying to do. I wonder. Okay, let me see if this works.
What were you trying to do there, Marilyn? Oh, you went away. Oh, you're back. Hold on. You're back. Oh, now you went away. You're coming and going, Ms. Marilyn. I want to keep that pen, that one right there. The Gustafson can go back. Oh, you're back again, Marilyn. Okay, let's see if this works. Add the screen.
I'm sorry. I was trying to figure out, did you know that if before you start the stream that
Yeah.
you can change the camera to the back of your phone?
Oh, okay. I will remember that.
So you gotta go do the mic, the little cog,
Yeah.
and then you go to camera, and then you have to pick the camera before you start the thing. Otherwise, it won't do it.
Okay. I'll
That's what I was
remember that
trying to do
because
the first time. I was
it
trying to
would be
switch
fun
the camera with it.
to maybe have my camera set up by my little repair area.
Yeah.
So. Oh, look at that. You've got your own cupboard.
Cubby.
So how many people are often cooking there at the same time?
Well, during Thanksgiving, it seems that we're all in the kitchen at the same time.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's maybe 3 people at the most for the rest of the year.
Okay.
Nice.
Do you guys like each other?
Well, we're all right. I mean,
Okay.
we tolerate each other.
Okay.
There she blows.
Uh-oh. I was just wondering because it seems, I live in a very social building, but I think my building is big enough that in 150 units, there's, 20 or 30 people that I really get along well with.
Well, we pretty much all get along well together.
Well, I mean,
There are
get along
some
well. Like,
other people that don't like each other, but they have their own issues. I
Yeah.
like pretty much everyone in my building. They're great people.
yeah, I meant like in the sense of, let's go to dinner together, or let's,
You mean,
or,
are we friendly? I'm only friends with one person here.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that seems like you could do better than that if you wanted.
Well,
If you worked on
some
it.
people are just different.
Yeah, well, I know that, but on my floor, I'm pretty good neighbors with one particular person. We play the ukulele together. We do art things together. Another
Cool.
one who isn't an artist, he and I usually have pizza we had pizza today for lunch, and
Mhm.
during COVID, before
I'm gonna
COVID,
try and put
we
this
would
side
go out
really
a
quick.
bit. Huh?
Can you see me?
I can, yeah.
Okay. Am I
So
right side up or upside down or?
you're right side up.
Oh, that's good. Did it
Mighty Mouse,
automatically?
Mighty Mouse asked what you're making for dinner.
I'm having chicken and carrots. Chicken and carrots.
Oh, Effextinel wants to get in. Hold on. Let me in. Where's my thing? Hold on, I need to find my pen, which is black, which is the color of my mood. There you are.
Apparently I was muted for some reason.
Well, you're not muted now.
Neato.
I didn't mute you for any reason.
Yeah, when I came in, my thing was muted.
Oh,
I had to turn it off. That was weird.
okay. I'm finding more pens for you, Effextinel.
Well, don't find too many. I'm not that rich.
Well, no, you don't have to buy them all or
That's
any.
what I told him.
You don't have to buy any of them. I'm just finding, for example, no, that's not it. There's one I just put over here that is a weird pen, which you may not have. It's a fine line, Schaefer fine line.
Yeah, that was their like lower end school pen type of thing.
Yeah, but this is different than their other, because this is sort of a big fat one,
Right.
It's just weird. Because it was the Schaefer, I thought you might like it, but
What's that weird band on the barrel? What is that?
That's my color coding system that
Oh, okay.
meant it was green was, what did green mean? I even forget now. It might have been a steel nib, which it has.
So you've had that one knocking around a while then, I'd imagine.
Not necessarily. It's just, I'd use these bands when I would do a pen show. And
Right,
then I would forget about them, but anyway. So
I finally got my brother's computer fixed, so
good.
it's time to jump on the stream and hang out with y'all for a minute.
Okay. Well, Marilyn's cooking dinner in a kitchen that could feed an army.
No, just one.
Well, but
one really fat kid who likes to eat.
But it looks like it still could hold an army in there.
Probably
Small
one, maybe the size of Connecticut.
Oh, that's a pretty skyline.
Yeah, it is. It's lovely. The only thing that's wrong with it is the
is it green?
End in the barrel right here, so it sort of wobbles when you're. It's like a Oumuamua. It just moves. It sort of wags its tail as it screws in.
Oh yeah, I gotcha.
So
Yeah, the plastics on the skylines, since it was like an early form of injection molding, is not so good.
yeah. So it's the bend is right here. And
Yeah.
again, how that happened, I don't know, but I'm not fussing with it. So
Well, here's a skyline that I've had a while.
uh
It's a really pretty burgundy one, and it's got the cool striped. I guess it's the celluloid.
yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got one of those striped caps, and I like this one because it has a nice little bouncy
nice.
flexy nib on it.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Well, I'm gonna bounce off here and let you guys.
Oh,
I just wanted to say hi.
you can
I'll
eat.
be back later,
You can
or maybe
eat.
tomorrow.
You can eat with us.
Well, I don't want to be
Mus
rude.
Mighty Mus says she's hungry now for chicken and carrots.
Oh, it's the best. It's my favorite meal.
Boy, there's a lot of carrots on that thing.
Mhm.
Oh,
I'm gonna be Donald Trump before I get done with this meal.
and I like the fact that your carrots look like little orange potato chips, ridges, ruffles with ridges.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's where it's at.
You'll be
Well,
able to
I'm
see
gonna
in the
go
dark
and not
after
be
all that
rude,
beta
so-
carotene.
Hey, yep. I'll be back in a little bit if you're still on.
okay, I'm not sure
Okay,
I will
bye.
be, but thanks. Bye.
Bye bye.
So anyway, what else was I going to tell you here? No, I'm just finding a few pens that look like you might get a kick out of them.
Well, it's just kind of funny because like you've pretty much got me figured out in terms of what I'm into pen wise.
Well, I've been doing this for a long time, so I sort of have a sense sometimes.
Oh yeah, you certainly have a talent for it.
I thought I had a pen here. Where did I put it? Maybe I didn't put it in your pile because I think it's one of these. I think I think this is the fatter size. I mean, the size you like.
Ooh, lever filler, that's good.
Triumph nib lever filler. And I think it's the large size, which I'll tell you in a second. Once I find, well, the problem is it does have what appeared to be maybe some initials that someone tried to chisel off or something.
Yeah, it's not too big a deal.
Yeah.
The nib's the most important part to me.
Yeah. The so it's a sort of a typical.
Is it kind of a medium-ish or?
Well, it's sort of a medium-ish on the downstroke, but it's very smooth. And it also looks like it has one of these truncated, the shape of the Triumph nib seems kind of squat.
Yeah, I've got this really pretty, the Carmine red one, and it's got one of these little
squat ones too. Yeah.
Stumpy little Triumph nibs.
So I'll just put that in your pile. We can talk about it another time.
What was that snorkel you were showing earlier?
The snorkel with the price sticker?
Yeah, with the price or the nib band still on it.
Thing. It's still here. It's one of those. Hold on. I'm just trying to see if it's not as big as this one. I have one of these piston fillers.
Yeah,
that's bigger.
One of them, I think some of those piston fillers are larger than even the fat touchdowns, but I'm not sure.
I think this is. I think. So the snorkel is somewhere here.
But if that lever filler is bigger than the snorkel, then it's definitely the fat one.
It is bigger than that one.
It should be one of the fat ones, yeah.
So here's the.
Oh, it's even got the.
See, this doesn't
fancy cap. So yep, yeah. It's got to be. Yeah, if so that cap don't fit, then it is.
Well, the cap. Okay. I just wanted to make sure the cap didn't have a white dot on it because there's a white dot on the back
Right. The early ones,
of this one.
the story I heard is that they didn't know how to put the white dots on the metal caps at first, so they just put them on the end.
Okay.
And then eventually they figured out how to do it.
But this is bigger than the fat one. This is the largest size of these they made. And this
I think that's the extra large one.
And this is a pump one that might actually have a little tiny bit of suction in it. But I have a friend that fixes these for me.
You'll have to turn me on to your friend that fixes the vacs.
Yeah. He so I may have him fix this one for me. He might have tried. I don't know. There was one that he couldn't do. And I don't know if it was this one or another, but
some of them are super difficult to get apart, and that's the main reason why I don't really want to do it myself, because it's pretty easy to break those.
Yeah.
But I have a guy that I sent a few of my vac pins off to get them fixed, and he only charged me $25 a piece.
Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's screaming deal, really.
Yeah.
So I'm supposed to be getting those here in a few more days, I guess.
Well, my friend that does them for me does it for free, but he's a friend I've known for 30 years. I don't know if he'd give you that same.
Well,
deal.
I don't expect people to do work for me for free, but
I also don't know whether he wants to do it as a job either. So,
exactly. That's like me. Like, I'm an expert with those Commodore 64 computers, and I fixed a bunch of them for people that are my friends. But that's, I wouldn't want to start up a business fixing those things for people. Could just be, I don't want the hassle.
Yeah.
If you're doing it for a favor for someone and something goes wrong, no big deal. They didn't pay anything. So.
Well, I rearranged some of my little house again today.
Yeah, I sort of caught that. I've been kind of bouncing back and forth there as you've been streaming today.
And but what I did was my 3/4 roommate Matt is he uses my drawing desk to write letters, which is fine because I haven't been doing any drawings over there in a while. But it does, because it's the largest relatively clear surface in my house.
Right.
It ends up getting covered up.
It gets cluttered
by shit that I'm moving around, even if I'm not using it. And but I moved. There's a little corner that is essentially his area. That so I moved that slanted wooden desk that was behind me out of here, and that's raised up the writing surface for him, so it's actually a better way for him to write, and it's more space, and so that's working for him. And so
just be careful and don't create so much extra room that you start letting that dangerous oxygen in.
Yeah, that oxygen, I have to make sure that the oxygen won't get in the way.
Yes,
I don't know
absolutely.
if you saw earlier, my brother was on.
No, I didn't catch that part.
It was earlier today, and I don't remember which one it was, but he came in and I got him to sign online or sign in, and he was just sitting in his kitchen and showing us the snow. But I don't know whether anyone else was streaming, so you should be able to find it pretty.
I'm having this weird thing where when you're streaming like this, I'm not getting the notifications for it anymore.
Yeah.
And when I go back and look through your videos, like, it's not showing me a bunch of the recent ones you just did.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know. It's kind of YouTube glitch things going on with that, but
Well, there were some times today I had a lot of problems with I think if you look under the one that says more room, that might be the one that has my brother.
I'll have to go back and check that out.
My brother. I was having a hard time today because I kept on crashing, and Schiavello says hi.
Yeah, I just caught that.
And and then I realized it was the port in the back of my computer that no longer was working with my Wacom Cintiq, but I didn't know that until after I turned off the computer, turned it back on, and so as usual, when something that happens technologically, is it because the computer isn't working? Is it because the internet is down? Is it because I didn't pay my internet bill? Is it who knows what it could be? So it's quite.
Well, that's the problem with this technology is like everything's a house of cards, and when stuff starts breaking, it's difficult to tell. Like my brother's computer, he was having problems with it crashing on him, and over Christmas time, I basically assembled for him a brand new computer system, like a relatively high-end one. So like all the stuff in his computer is brand new. And it turns out the brand new memory that I put in his computer for him was defective.
Oh.
Yeah, it worked for about a month and it's screwed up now. So I had to put the memory from his old system that he had in his new one to get him running again.
Okay. Does you get a refund on the broken memory?
Oh, here's the best part. I had bought that memory from Amazon because they were having some sort of a deal on it around Christmas.
Okay.
And when I went to open up the return for it, today is literally the last day I was able to return it.
Well, I would think if it was defective, you should be able to return it.
Well, even if Amazon wouldn't have taken it back, I would have RMA'd it through the manufacturer or something.
Okay.
Yeah. Because they had to have had some sort of at least a 6-month or a year warranty on it.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Yeah, I've been into the whole computer thing pretty much my whole life, but here lately, I don't know. My love for modern computers has certainly waned.
Yeah. Well,
they're just so much of a pain in the ass now.
They are a love-hate relationship that goes more to hate. Endure hate relationship is what it's turning into.
The other part that really bugs me too is like we have all these amazing computers that are super duper fast and you can do all this really cool stuff with them. But when it comes right down to it, like the user's actual ability to control what is actually going on in their computer is so limited now. Like all these programs you put on your computer, you have no idea what that program's actually doing.
Yeah.
The people that make the programs don't even have half an idea sometimes of what it's really doing.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's part of the reason why I like the old 80s computers is that they're so simple that, a single person can actually understand everything about the whole computer.
Well,
whereas computers now are just like multiple layers of things piled on top of each other. Closed binary firmwares, softwares, operating systems, hardware abstraction layers. It just goes on and on and on. And when a problem arises, you have no idea where in that stack the problem actually lies.
Okay. Well, my computer here is getting to the point where it says if I want to upgrade to the next Chrome, I have to upgrade the computer to the next level up, and I don't know whether this old thing can do that. So
yeah.
And then when I do that, will all of the things that I do use, like Photoshop, will that all work? I just
now is like Adobe has, they want you to pay like a subscription for their
and I don't want to do that
now, and that's BS.
Yeah, I just use the old thing, and my skill set in Adobe Photoshop, I've used like 3 buttons and that's it. I don't deal with filters. I don't do a lot of stuff. So
right.
I'm very happy doing what I do. And so I don't really need anything fancier than that. And my brother, who who has to use Photoshop for business, and his business, pays for all this subscription. He says, there used to be a button that would allow you to crop something in Photoshop.
Yeah.
Now there's a menu that drops down.
And then you got to go digging for something in a menu where it's like, that's a really commonly used function. Why not just put it right here?
And I never used the crop function. I just used the select function and then crop it. So I showed that to my brother, and he said, "Oh my God, that's so easy." And I said, "Well, I don't even know where the crop tool is, because the crop tool required
that Photoshop has been sort of, I don't know, it's morphed into something different than what it initially was, because now it seems like Photoshop is being more tailored towards photographers more than its original purpose of graphic design and things like that.
Well, there's so many graphic design apps that are probably better for doing drawing and doing things that don't have anything to do with a photo. So it might be fine. I mean, I could probably do almost everything I do on my computer. I could probably use my iPad for. So, and I can use, the apps I love there. But anyway, so Mighty Mouse's favorite computer is the 2012 MacBook Pro.
Well, I've got one of the new MacBook Pros with the Apple chip in it, the M1.
Uh-huh.
And I haven't had an Apple computer since way back when Apple switched from the Power PC and all that over to Intel.
Okay, well,
that was like 2006 or something, 2005 even, I can't remember. But I had one back then, and I really liked it. But yeah, these new M1 MacBooks.
Oh, Marilyn Darling's back. Hold on, Marilyn. Didn't see you. There you are. Finished with your carrots.
I did. I finished all my carrots.
I can. You look like a happy bunny.
I can eat my rabbit. I can have my dessert now.
Which is what?
Coloring on paper, of course.
Oh, that. Okay.
I'm kind of bummed out that I have to wear my brace because my carpal tunnel's messing with me today.
Oh no.
And it sucks when you're right-handed and your right wrist is messed up and you're a fountain pen collector. It's yeah.
That's rough. There was a point in time where I fell and I hurt my right wrist, and I bent it back, and I felt like every little thing. I was like, I can't write my thoughts. It was awful. So I totally feel your pain. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. Well, maybe one person, but
I think if we have to think about something to wish something bad on, we could come up with a couple.
Probably. I don't know though. I kind of believe in karma, so I don't know if
I want Representative Jordan to have all sorts of trauma happen to him, his life, whatever his name is, Jim Jordan. He's such a dink. Is that the right word? I think he's such a dink.
A dink?
A dink.
A goof?
Just a dink.
Or a dingus. I like that a lot too.
No. I think that's too many syllables.
Well, I don't know. I'm pretty fond.
He doesn't deserve 2 syllables. He just is a dink. You can say fucking dink. You can say that. He's just a dink. He deserves whatever we want to give him. Let's get a little Jim Jordan voodoo doll going on here. I think my dinner will be ready soon, so I may depart shortly. But
cool.
So it was fun seeing my brother.
Yeah, that was fun. I saw him. He's You guys look like spitting image of each other. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, he and I look kind of alike. He looks a lot like my father when my father was young, and he's different from the other Gustafsons because he's quite short. He has short legs. He has a long torso, but his legs are kind of short.
Is your brother younger or older than you, Pierre?
They're both my brothers are younger.
Okay.
The youngest one is 8 years younger. The other one is 4 years young, or 2 years younger rather. And and Todd and Troy, my two brothers, because they live near each other and stuff, they also were very sportive when they were kids. Water skiing and snow skiing and things like that. They sort of bonded in that way where
pretty fancy.
I didn't really fit into that.
Can you see that
thing? Yeah.
That's a picture of my dad, my mom, and me. I don't look like any of them. Oops. I'm the milkman's baby.
The milkman's baby. I like your little hairdo there.
It was a thing back then.
Get a bowl, put it on your head, cut it around.
God.
I'm pretty sure I had those hairdos plenty of times.
Yep. That was a thing back then. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Jim Jordan was dropped on his head, says Mighty Mouse.
That's a terrible thing to say.
Well, shall we drop him on his head again and see if it fixed it?
It might help at this point. You never know.
No. So what did that British Parliament minister or whatever say, Mighty Mouse? You were saying that this person was gonna speak on transgender issues or something. We had an interesting conversation with about theology a little bit with Joshua. Schroeder. Yeah, Josh Schroeder earlier today.
Well, me in Canada there, Bartholomew Brecht.
Yeah.
We've been chatting on a messenger program that he told me about, and we had a hours-long in-depth philosophy discussion yesterday. That was awesome.
Oh, great!
Yeah.
No, you should talk without typing if you can. I mean, did you talk face to face or
no?
Text.
I was trying to twist his arm and get him to come on here, but I'm going to try to I don't know, call him on the phone or have a voice chat or something at the bare minimum.
I don't know. When I'm feeling philosophical, I need a little bit of time to think. Otherwise, I'm just kind of sitting there like.
He did say though that he might be willing to just do voice chat, not a can.
Okay.
Oh, right.
So
well, I talked to him briefly when I was trying to find out what kind of pens he wanted, and we tried Skype, which didn't work, and we ended up using FaceTime, which did work, and it was really nice to talk that way and to show some pens that I was thinking about, and And then he was saying some things that really made sense to me with respect to what I was hearing Brussels talk about. So I
Yeah.
really want those two to get together here and chat.
Well, me and him totally gelled right off the bat. He is
Oh, good.
perfectly on my wavelength. It was just really kind of spooky in a way because some of the things he was saying are, you know, right in line with, you know, things I've thought and wondered about all my life. So.
Oh, great. Well, we can have a chat that involves something other than sex and pens and making Schiavello.
That's right, Pierre. There's more
Well,
to
no
life.
one wants to
than
talk
sex and
about
problems.
assholes, so that's fine.
So, no, I think it would be fun. Defending and spouting off on women who are women crap the same as defending the dumb left attacking EOC and Bernie. Oh, dear.
Poor Bernie Sanders.
So are we talking? Were we talking about the British guy or Jim Jordan?
What was that thing with everyone was freaking out because of Bernie Sanders at the inauguration?
Because he had those little mittens.
He's sitting there and he's like this.
I looked at that
Really?
and I was like, what's weird about that? He looks like an old guy trying to stay warm.
I know, that's what I thought. But he just, like the angle, it was really bad.
Yeah,
I just didn't think it looked unusual at all to me.
It's because when you look at them head on, they all look, you know, like this. But when you turn them sideways, they kind of like do this thing. But they got a really good sideways one, and everyone looks like they're a mile apart. And he looks like he's just sitting there like this.
He's waiting for this
all alone,
all by his
corner, just hanging out, freezing to death.
I don't know. I just thought out of all the things to make a meme out of, that they probably could have found something better than poor old Bernie Sanders sitting there by himself, freezing his butt off.
I know, right? Poor little Bernie.
Oh, well.
Thank God he didn't become president. Can you imagine? Oh my gosh.
I was gonna say, if there was anything for him to be bummed about, that probably would have been more along the lines of what I thought. Like, I should be the one up there,
right? He's
Sleepy Joe.
He's a character, though. What was I gonna do? I was gonna do something.
Well, Mighty Mouse liked the Bernie memes. Some of them were quite funny. And some of them were kind of mean, but we're an awful species, so
never underestimate the depravity of human beings.
Yeah, but anyway, Joshua was talking about Christianity, and he's a Christian, and so we were just sort of talking about that, and Schiavello was in the room and watching. He wasn't really saying much, but it was an interesting chat. And we did get a new person come in. He didn't say anything. I mean, he didn't show up. He typed a few things, so that was fun. So,
I remember what I was going to ask you, Pierre. Do you have any Pilot fountain pens?
I don't think so. I may have. Did they make the disappearing clip? Or
Yes.
That's Miki.
No, that's
Pilot disappearing.
Disappearing clip.
Disappearing.
The vanishing point.
I have a vanishing point.
Vanishing point. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like.
And the only other Pilot pin I have is this one.
E95S.
No, this is a vintage Elite.
Oh,
that's this skinny. Is an old one.
Okay.
Oh.
But it's a cartridge pen with that cool.
Does that nib have like a part that goes inside? Are you able to take the nib out?
I don't know.
You don't know you have it. There's a guy that I watch. there's a guy that I watch who got one of those, and he doesn't know what to do with the nib because it like came out.
Mhm. It might be broken. I don't know if you're even supposed to be able to take the nibs out of these.
Right.
But this thing's pretty cool. It's like a little pocket pen, but when you put the cap on it, it's
Makes
a
it a full
totally
size.
normal size.
Uh-huh.
But it's a Japanese pen, so even though the nib's a medium, it's really more like a fine.
Okay.
Right.
Maybe even a little
Yeah.
less.
I've got a Pilot Petite one.
Yeah, those
And
seem to be pretty popular.
It's a little tiny thing, but like when you post it, it becomes almost the size of a Jinhao 992.
The thing I don't understand is everyone's like, oh, Japanese pens have such fine nibs. And yeah, that might be generally true, but I got that Vanishing Point and I got a medium nib for it. That medium
really-
nib on that Vanishing Point writes like a broad. It's chunky.
You know, I thought the same thing. I got this this Custom Heritage 912, and it says it's supposed to be an extra fine. Well, did you see the little test that I did with it? I
No.
wrote right next to the nib that Pierre sent me, and okay, I'll do a little Kanban
That's why
for you.
the terms, extra fine, fine, medium don't mean a lot to me. I like to measure the actual line width the pen draws. I have some
True.
calipers.
Right.
If I say a fine, I'll try to qualify that by saying it'll lay, roughly a 0.5 millimeter line on good paper.
Right.
That
Okay,
way,
that's
you can at least have a bit of an idea of what that really means.
That's the Pilot 912. Okay, let's see if this thing has some ink in it. All right. This is the nib that Pierre gave me.
Oh yeah, there's no
I
contact,
mean, it's like razor blade thin.
right?
So like that is an extra fine to me.
Don't
Yeah,
slip
that would be closer to an extra fine to me also. But yeah, it's really strange. I had that medium nib and I was like, wow, this thing is huge. And then I got a fine for the Vanishing Point.
Mhm.
And the fine is way, way thinner than the medium.
Okay, so this is a Conklin Duragraph in demo, and this is an extra fine.
That's pretty
Yeah.
fine.
So I mean, like calling this a Japanese fine, extra fine, is like I was so disappointed.
It's just really weird because I didn't expect that kind of, I don't want to call it inconsistency, but
Exactly, that's exactly what it is.
it just seems a little strange.
Yeah, because Japanese extra fines are supposed to be like razor blade thin.
Well, yeah, because they have to write
great
complex,
Syrian, like
because
I
the
mean,
Japanese have to write those characters.
right. It's smooth, which is, I guess, the price that I pay for. I mean, the nib that Pierre gave me is a little scratchy, but only in one direction. If I can go up like this, it's fine. But like as soon as I try and come back, right there, that's the little molecule that doesn't want to be cooperative. Right there. I don't know why. Yep, right there.
Yeah, with fountain pen nibs though, there's a whole
It's a thing.
of things, trying to make them work universally well in all possible directions, and
Yeah, but we can't even see what I'm talking about. Now
I've
this is
learned a lot in that regards in my few years of being a fountain pen hobbyist, of tweaking and tuning and smoothing and
right. This is a Fountain Pen Revolution Ultraflex nib, and it writes like an Ultraflex nib, like an extra fine too. I don't know. I was thinking thoughts about sending it back, or like maybe having it sent to a Nibmeister, because like I want to be able to do. It's funny because like before, I'd say maybe October, I was absolutely uninterested in fine or extra fine. I was all about the broad because you can get away with crappy writing if you write with a broad pen. But the flex kind of really shows. And when I had the nib that came with this Waterman was very broad. I mean, like the broadest broad ever, but it had a lot of flex. But I wanted something that would go from a very extra fine to like really broad.
And boinga boinga.
And I still don't know what a wet noodle really means.
Oh my God.
A wet noodle, I think a wet noodle is
Boinga boinga.
is like boinga boinga, but probably fatter at the beginning and maybe a little fatter at the end. I also think that most people think of wet noodles as being a little bit extra weak, so they don't have to press down too much to get a wide line. So,
Even
Right.
less pressure than normal. Yeah.
so I think if people gave me what they think a wet noodle would be, I probably wouldn't like them because I don't think they'd be sharp enough.
Right. See the original nib with the Waterman. This is definitely a wet noodle. It's super easy to flex, but it's such a broad, and like you could just.
No, I mean that's save
Can't
that
do that.
save that to paint the house when you need to do that.
Yeah.
Or send it to me and I'll put it in some pen.
Right.
Um,
You want to buy it?
Oh yeah, I would find something to do with it for sure.
I don't know how much these go for. What would you say, Pierre? How much should we charge?
I'd have to, I think it's hard to say. I'd have to try it out. I mean, flexible gold, number 2 Waterman. I would think it would start at least at $40 and easily go to 60.
That's exactly what I was thinking in
If
my
you,
40, 50, 60-ish.
but you might be able to find one on eBay if you're just wanting the nib. You might be able to find, a pen that has a broken cap or something really crappy going on with the pen, and people might not bother bidding on it. They might not see that the nib is good. Now, most people, there are a lot of people that look for those nibs, so you're not the only bidder, but there would be a class of people that would be out of the bidding because the pen itself would be too.
The thing that blows me away is seeing people bidding on these pens for prices near what a totally good pen would go for that have clearly mangled nibs on them. And that kind of puzzles me because I'm like, okay, well, you obviously have another nib on standby you could put in this pen to use it, but you're paying 75% of the price of what you could buy an already good pen for.
Right.
It's very hard to tell when people are bidding high on a pen that, in a way, that a nib is the easiest thing to replace.
Right.
But it's the most
But
important
it's also a
for me. But it's
chunk
the
of the
easiest
value
thing
of the
for a pen collector to replace. They, if there's a yellow duofold that doesn't have any cracks in it or something, they don't care if the nib is there or not.
True.
It's the yellow nib, the yellow pen they want. So,
See how broad it writes?
That's pretty chunky, but that's not like overly crazy to me.
No, it has to be. It's how wide the wide will get that is the what. And I think Effextinol really wants a pen that's going to be also smooth, which
this nib is very smooth. I did some micro mesh on it, and it writes buttery smooth. Oh, I can't even see. Damn it.
The pen is just a nib holder, says Mighty Mouse. Well, you
In
are
a way, I kind of feel that way too, in a sense, because when I'm buying pens, 80% of my interest is in the nib alone.
Yeah.
The other 20% is, an interesting filling system or a cool color, or do I like, the size or the shape.
Well, all of you guys are speaking my language, of course, and I like cool colors and weird filling systems too, but just looking at a pen and not using it, I do want the nib to be interesting. And just testing out the nibs I'm putting in my little sale bin, I've added more pens to my collection from that. And they're not all flexible nibs. Some of them are just really fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like this one right here, it's just one of these Craftsman or whatever this is. And it's a really sweet nib on it. This might end up in Canada's hands because he likes fine so much. But
yeah, he was professing his love for really fine nibs to me as well.
Yeah, he got an accountant nib from me, and I have a feeling, and he requested an accountant nib, and it took me a while to find one, but I think the accountant nib is going to be just too, it's not going to be too broad necessarily, but it's just going to not have the one that it just doesn't have flexibility to it. Now he is getting a really sweet nib in something or other. Oh, that Parker. I think there's a little bit of give on that nib, and I think that one will make him quite happy. The accountant nib should as well, but it's a different animal.
Right.
And he'll have to just learn to.
The only accountant nibs I can think of that I have that I know for sure are an accountant are Parker 45s.
Uh-huh.
And I have one that's a steel and a couple that are gold.
Uh-huh.
And they're fine, but they're not like overly needlepoint fine.
Uh-huh.
They're maybe just a touch below an extra fine, so it's not crazy.
Do they say accountant on them?
Yeah, they have the little collars with the A stamped on them. So
okay, oh neat.
He might like this. Is he searching for a Waterman?
A
stiff Waterman?
No, he doesn't necessarily need a Waterman. He just wanted a fine nib. So
because he might like this one. It's very fine, but it's a little. Now that I'm playing with it, I mean, it's a little stiffer than I'd.
Which one is that? The tight one?
Yeah, this is the tight one. It's very tight.
Uh-huh.
Now that I played with the Boinga Boinga for a little bit, I'm not afraid of it anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I think the finest nib I own is probably on this Skyline. It's a little short demi one.
Uh-huh.
And this nib it's weird. I've never seen another one like it. It's a really short
oh, I see, yeah.
Banner ever sharp nib, and I mean it comes to a point. It is sharp. So I don't know if this is considered an accountant nib or what.
I would think that could be called an accountant nib.
Yeah. The other weird thing is it has a tiny little crack right under the breather hole.
Uh-oh.
And this is not a flex nib, so I wonder how it cracked.
Well, someone could have pressed down.
Oh my god! Too excited.
That's the thing. Like this nib is pretty daggone rigid too. So,
is it exactly behind the breather?
Yeah, because the breather hole on these is that little trapezoidal weird shape.
Yeah,
and it's right off the point of it, and it only extends a tiny little bit. I only noticed it when I looked at the nib with a loop one day.
Well, could it have been the saw blade that cut down too far?
Looking at it with a loop, I don't think so.
Because I've had pens that have.
Yeah, I've seen that too, where they kind of keep going with the saw a little farther than they needed to.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
No, it's definitely a little crack.
okay,
It's got a jagged edge,
jagged shape.
but I don't think it compromises the nib at all, really.
There was a YouTube video I made. I can't remember which one it is. I bought a bunch of pens on eBay or through some other auction, and I was going through them, and there was one where the saw cut missed the iridium completely. It just went,
Wow.
it just went down. It made it to the hole perfectly fine, but it didn't make it to in between the iridium. So
From what I know from nib production, they stamp out the forms of the gold off of a gold ribbon.
yeah,
Then they put them through some more processes where they give the nib its, curve.
yeah,
Then
Right.
they fuse the iridium blob to it, and then they put it on the slitting saw.
yeah,
Yep.
And if they fuse the iridium to the tip of the nib and it's a little bit off center one way or another, whatever jig they use on a slitting saw lines it up off the bead of iridium.
okay,
So, because ideally you want the slit right in the middle of the iridium.
yeah,
And if that iridium is not on the tip of the nib perfectly one way or the other, it can make the saw go off to one side.
okay.
The one you're describing, though, sounds like that whole process just went totally awry.
Well, I think the guy sneezed as he brought it up or something.
Yeah, or it was,
How it made it past the test.
5 o'clock on Friday nib, and they about to leave for the weekend. It makes you wonder how something like that even made it out of the factory, because
Just like a Japanese extra fine. It probably is Mighty Mouse. I fell in love with them a couple of years ago, maybe 5 years ago. I tried some out, and they just were so fine, but they also had just the tiniest bit of flexibility to them that made it worth their while. And the one I'm using right here on this Craftsman is very much like my Waterman, the Counting nib. And I bet if I were to draw parallel lines next to each other, I probably could get maybe 65 lines in an inch, maybe more.
it's always surprised me how good the nibs are on the cheaper lower end Schaefers with gold nibs.
Yeah.
Because obviously to save money, they made the nibs thinner with less gold in them. And that gives them all just a real nice softness, kind of a bounce. And they're really forgiving nibs.
That's 20 right there, 20 lines right there. And can't see them, but
I do like your
20
your
lines.
measurement technique of measuring it, width of nib by lines per inch. That's pretty clever.
Well, it's the only. I mean, I can't measure the actual line, but I can measure how many I can fit in an inch.
Yeah.
And for me, to make the finest line, I have to write very fast, and I'm just moving my hand sort of at a rate, and
Almost more of a rhythm than anything.
if I sat down and very carefully did it like that, I would get half as many lines,
Right.
because I'm going slower and the line is fatter. So,
The paper has more time to soak up the ink too. So
you're running out of paper there, Mitch Nibs.
nibs.
Nibs, you're
Welcome
Yep.
to Mitch's Nibs Emporium, now featuring Effextanol.
free year's supply of Effextanol
That's right.
with your nib purchase.
And if you call now, we'll double the offer.
You're a hoot.
I've mentioned many times though, I'm all over the map on nibs. I like writing with all different kinds of nibs I can get my hands on.
Yeah. But I know
Obliques,
now that
stubs,
you want
rods. I love it all.
them very smooth.
But I will qualify though that by saying, obviously as nibs get finer, they're not going to be as smooth as a big chunky broad.
No.
Well, I gotta tell you, this Conklin that I have came out and it was like super duper scratchy. But I usually take some watercolor paper and I just kind of go at it like, diddle.
I was going to say a technique that I use a lot is if you get some brown paper from like a brown paper bag,
Yep.
and you work a nib on that for a bit, you can really smooth nibs out very well without taking off hardly any material at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
You won't alter the shape of the tipping or anything by doing this. It's a very mild, non-destructive way to smooth a nib. Yeah. Whereas if you take a nib that's a micro mesh and you're not paying attention to what you're doing, you can ruin a nib pretty quick.
Oh yeah.
Especially if you use the lower grades.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had to learn that the hard way when I started out in playing with fountain pens. I have a small pile of nibs in my nib graveyard that I was a little too overzealous with.
Your oops pile.
Yeah, and once I ruined a few, and I decided I didn't want to do that anymore. So I am super conservative now. I don't want to take off any of the tipping material if I can possibly help it.
Yeah.
The main problem I have though is especially on like modern pens, the inconsistency in the nibs. Like even Pelicans, and Pelican tends to have a pretty good reputation with their nib quality control. But I've gotten some stinkers.
Oh no.
And I've gotten a few, like the extra fines. Like Pelican makes you pay more for an extra fine nib now.
What?
And it's like a $30 or $40 premium over a fine or a medium.
Well, that's dumb.
It is dumb, especially when you get an extra fine and it's not even made that well.
It might be that they get a lot of returns, so they're just making they'll send an extra fine to someone and they're going to send it back saying this is scratchy. So they just build in the annoyance factor into the price for that. They're trying to discourage you to buy them too, I think.
I am almost certain that a few of the pens that I've bought, and I'm talking relatively higher end Pelicans and stuff, were pens that had already been sent out to someone else that got returned. And they just keep trying to pass the buck until someone either sits it on the shelf and doesn't write with it or doesn't know enough to care.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that might be. I just know that if I was a modern pen manufacturer and sold anything that was flexible or fine, I would charge a lot extra for that, just because I know that there's going to be a lot of people that will either press down too hard and break it, either one of them,
right,
or they would complain that the fine one is too scratchy.
Yeah,
they'd want me to fix it.
Right, as if there was something wrong with it.
Saying, okay, we're gonna, they don't understand that fine means scratchy.
Yep.
Extra fine means scratchy. So you don't want to tell them that they're too stupid to know the difference. But you just to get rid of that trauma, they just make it more expensive so that people won't buy it. That's much easier.
Well, you see a lot of places, like a lot of Parkers, they only make a fine or a medium. That's it. Yeah. They don't offer anything else.
Or a fine. Today's fine is what used to be a medium. So
yeah.
So but they don't offer broad or it seems to me that the new Parker 51 that's awful. They could easily be able to offer a stub nib in a broad.
Sure.
without them missing a beat. To just say it's medium or fine is shooting themselves in the foot, I think. They've already shot themselves in the foot because they fucked up the pen.
Well, yeah.
But
I don't know, man. Like, I love vintage Parkers, but the modern Parker Pen Company, I don't know. There's nothing in my heart that, you know, is making me go and seek out these modern Parker pens. There's just nothing about them that interests me.
no. Now,
Like,
where
even
are they made
the
now?
fancy duo folds and stuff they sell now, they just
Where's Parker made now? Who owns them?
Germany,
Germany?
I
I
believe so.
think Parker's owned by the same company that owns like Waterman and stuff under some other company umbrella.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that Parker and Waterman inks are made in the same factory in France.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well. Oh well.
The other thing is too is I'm starting a petition that fancy expensive fountain pens should not come with a fucking plastic feed. It should be ebonite, damn it.
Well, they should work out of the box.
Are they working out of the box? Yeah, that's to be expected though.
That's the one
That
thing
shouldn't even
about
need to be said.
everybody's talking up these Officina Italiana pieces of crap. Every one that I've ever seen, they always have problems with hard starting or baby's bottom or just not working out of the box. I'm like, why are you going to spend $1,000 on a pen? It might be beautiful, but it's going to sit in a case. Like,
Well, Canada was asking me about my experiences with Visconti, and I explained it to him like this. I was like, you know, I have a couple of these Italian Visconti pens, and yet using them, to me, it really feels like I'm trying to drive a Lamborghini to the grocery store.
Uh-huh.
Really the kind of the feeling that I get. Like, I don't regret owning it, but at the same time, I don't know.
It's better than you.
It's just a very ostentatious thing, you know.
I've had a couple of
go
pens
meet the president.
and I sold one of them to Ted, my friend Ted, and he said there's one pen that I sold him that he insisted on buying because it was a beautiful pen, beautiful nib, and he said, I don't like it because it's better than me.
It kind of feels like that. Like,
Yeah.
I have a few Mont Blancs and stuff too, and it's strange because it's like I'm a disabled, crippled, poor guy, and I'm sitting here writing with pens that, you know, diplomats and stuff use. It's just a really strange feeling like I shouldn't be allowed to have this.
Yep.
Well, it's not so much it was just in Ted's case, it was this nib knows how to do things that I don't know how to do. So it was Ted's, and Ted is a quote a calligrapher like I am. You know, sort of looks more like handwriting than calligraphy in a way, and but he does have this great swoopy lettering that he does, and he knows exactly when to put on the gas and when to pull up, and he just was saying that this pen was better than he was, meaning it could do tricks.
Oh yeah, I can appreciate that.
He himself could not do, and that was one of the reasons that I didn't like it either. I was afraid of using it because I thought I might break it,
Right?
and I felt
it's not intimidated by your tools.
I just didn't, and I know that he loved it. I mean, the whole pen was lovely. It was a silver barrel, silver section, silver everything, and had this beautiful gold nib that was just exquisite, and it still is. He brought it over for me to try, and I said, "Oh my God, how did I sell this to you?" But again, if I owned it, I know that I would be afraid to use it, and I've got pens now that I'm afraid to use as well.
See, this is my most expensive pen that I have. It's a Pilot Falcon, And within the first like 90 days of having it, there's like a little nipple on the inside that you used to puncture the
Right, for the cartridge.
Well, I shoved that part into the section.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was a very traumatic. And the nib popped out, and I went, "Oh, well, oops, that's not supposed to happen." I was like, I tried to write Pilot and ask them. I'd be like, "Hey, look, this thing happened," and they're like, "It's your fault. We're not paying for it." And I was like, "All right, well, now it is an eyedropper, and it's a wonderful eyedropper, but it's very stiff. It reminds me of the Noodler's pens. It's very stiff, and that's why I wanted the 912, because I was told that it was like vintage flex, and it is. It's very much like the stiff vintage flex nib, but more flexier than the FPR Ultra Flex nib.
That's kind of how this Eversharp is. It's got a nib that's, you know, flexy to a degree, but it's not super soft either.
Right.
And for me, I can control and write with a nib like this pretty well. When you start getting to the pens where they just want to flex on their own practically, I'm kind of intimidated by nibs like that.
That's how this broad nib is.
I'm not talented enough to really eke out the performance of one of those types of nibs.
No. This broad gold nib is definitely wet noodly. It's very soft, and it's almost too much. We can't even pull down without it splaying out. It's almost writing with a piece of aluminum foil, feels like.
I thought you were leaving to get something to eat there, Pierre.
I'm going to be eating now, so I am.
Gotcha.
I'm going to sign off, and we'll see you all later.
Sounds again. Okay. Thanks for letting me hang out. And, I'll catch y'all later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night.
Bye.